Josh obviously might have to factor in at center pretty quick. It seems like Matt and Donovan are sticking with guards. So, what do you see out of the four guys in the recruiting class?
I'm just glad that they're here early with all those guys. The progress and the development of offensive linemen is it's long and it's tough. So those guys all coming in mid-year is good to get acclimated to everything, to getting into the weight room with Coach Mick, getting with Kayla in the meal and doing those things. So that's the biggest thing. Digesting the installs and the things that we can get into in the classroom we'll be doing, and ultimately getting to spring football and just kind of see them play the game. But outside of that, I'm just excited we can get them all here right now early.
Coach Day said Matthew Jones is sticking at guard. What went into that decision? And then talk about, I guess, the evaluation process and the search for a new center.
Well, Matt just made a decision that he wanted to come back and get another year better and be ready for the next level. And he's all in. He trained really well, had a really good attitude about himself going into the bowl game. And then, we talked about it after the bowl game and then coming out. And when guys make that decision and it changes, it's palpable. Like you can sense it with his training right now. He's focused because for him it was a big decision of should I stay, should I go, and when I come back, what am I working on? And that's our job and my job to have a plan for him. Like, here's the deficiencies, here's the things you want to work on, and then we start attacking those things, right? For the rest of those guys, like that tone's never going to change. It's the same thing every year, whether you have returning guys that have started, not started, played. Like, we're going to play the five best. And so that's what the winter leading up to, and then spring football gets into through the summer. And as we get to the fall, and then by the time we tee it up in Bloomington, in the fall, we'll know who the five guys are.
You're the most unsettled position of probably anybody on the team. How do you feel about where you're at?
That makes us the hungriest, so I'm excited, right? I mean, you come here and sit at the table last year, and you get thrown out. Well, you got an All-American guy here, and you got a guy here, and you got this with Dewan and Paris and those guys, and that was all great. We had a great year. We worked really well together. Moving into it now, like, that's the coaching part of it. Like, yeah, we got some younger guys or less inexperienced guys, but they're all hungry. They all want to be good. They all want to get coached. And so for you able as a coach, like, that's the exciting part about coaching. It's like, we get to go, right? And so is it this guy here? Do we move him here? We'll figure that out along the way. But the guys competition is really good, and open slots for those guys that some we didn't know were going to be there or not. And as the dust settles, now we know there's open slots at some guys. And so getting a chance to see those guys compete and battle that out on top of with really good players. I mean, we got good players here. We lost good players and we'll replace them with good players.
It's been 7 months. So obviously you can't answer this, but if you had a game, do you have any idea what your line would look like right now?
5 guys.
I would hope.
Right. No, outside of that, no. To speculate or dive into that, no. I mean, we were back, obviously being off the road and getting a chance to be around these guys and the limited football that we get to do, but the weight room and those things. I'm just looking at, we go all the way back to elementary. We've talked this offseason about, I read Tony Dungy's book back in the day, The Quiet Strength, and he talks about when Paul Hackett became the new coordinator of the San Francisco 49ers. And he's installing the West Coast offense with Bill Walsh, and he starts with 22Z in, and he's looking at Joe Montana, who's won MVPs and Super Bowls. And he's saying, well, I got to teach this guy that. He knows it better than me. He installs it, and you turn around, and the guy's got 3 pages of notes that could teach it better than he did, but he wanted to know the why, the details, and the base elementary fundamentals. So that's what we've gotten back to with all of our guys, whether you're Donovan and Matt, who've played a lot, or Josh, or Enoch, or these true freshmen coming in that haven't played. We got to get back to basics and fundamentals and build from there. And then how far can you go and can you climb is based off how well they execute and operate.
You know your guards.
Yeah, we've got guys. We've got guys that play
else.
guards. It's a beautiful thing.
The run game coordinator role. How much does that go hand in hand with the offensive line? How do you imagine balancing those?
I mean, that's our world. I mean, we start there. So same deal. Just like I said last year, like I had to kill another tree and get a new business card. But our staff, just in general now, I mean, you go from Brian and down with Tony and with Corey and then with Key coming in and myself, like there's zero egos or issues in that of like, well, this is my job and this is my job. Like we all want to build this thing together and continue to do that. So, what does that mean through the eyes of the offensive line? Yeah, it's probably good that they're sitting there saying, all right, the run game plan and what we're doing was seen through our eyes because coaches got input on it. And then you build that, but there's not a new avenue that has to go down that may take away from the technique or fundamentals or those things with our guys up front.
What are you most excited about with Brian as OC?
I think anytime you guys get new opportunities to kind of expand and grow, you get it. You all in the profession, you grow. You start as an intern, or I started an intern and a GA, and then a full time, and then you start adding titles with more responsibility. You're able to expand and grow. And so for him, I mean, he's played ball at a high level here. He's played ball in the National Football League. He's coached at a high level, recruited at a high level, and now for him to have more input and be able to have more of his stamp on it, as you would say, I get excited because he's a damn good football coach, and so we all get to be part of that. So just had a great year working with all these guys the last year. It was fun, being the one new guy on our side of the ball. We had no issues that way because we worked well together, and so now him getting a chance to expand and grow is awesome for all of us.
Sorry if you've been asked this. Ryan Day said that Donovan's going to stay at guard. I thought there was some thought that maybe he might kick out to tackle. Is that a good sign for how you feel about the tackles at this point?
I mean, yeah, it's a good chance for all those young guys. We got Josh has played a little bit. You got Zen was played some, sparingly a little bit. And then you look at like George, and you look at the new guys coming in. Like you get a chance for a lot of these young guys to go operate at the tackle position and see what happens. So, I think we just said that, like we're starting today. Who's playing the game? Like out of 5 guys, I don't know who they are yet, but there'll be 5 of them. So I'm just excited to see what happens in the competition and you're sitting there behind a guy that's an incumbent guy, or I'm behind Paris Johnson. I'm fighting my butt off. I'm training because my number could be called at some point, an injury or whatever. Well, now Paris is no longer there. Like now it's go time. Similar to talking about with Brian, like how much can I grow? What can I show? I'm ready to take the next step and do that. So these guys will have a good spring.
And Ryan didn't want to get too much into who's going to be moving around, even though he did a little bit. But if there's a thought that Josh Frye is your best tackle, should he move from right to left?
You got to see how guys function that way, right? I mean, some guys are right brain and left brain. Some guys are left brain. Some guys are, internal guys can play guards in both sides. That's just a feel thing right now, so we'll figure that out. But we're going to play our 5 best. We're 6 best. I mean, at the end of the year, at some point last year, Josh was playing tight end. So he's in a left-handed stance one play, a right-handed stance the next play. Those are all things that we got to figure out through the spring. And we will, but right now they're getting big and strong and back with Nick and letting those young guys grow and get stronger that way. And then the fundamental component will add as we get closer to spring that way. But yeah, I mean, not dodging questions, like I just don't know right now, other than I'm excited to see who steps up and who fights and who battles, and new guys coming in. We got Victor coming in, so where's he going to end up? What's he going to end up doing and pressing guys for? Just excited about the competition.
Can we go through some of the guys individually and what you like and what you need to see between now and the season starts?
Well, I just think it goes in phases. I just talked to my guys about this, so I won't go generally each specific guy, but as you look just through phases, year 1 of college football for a lineman, you learn how to play college football. How to show up to meetings on time, how to train, how to be at the weight room, how to get with Kayla and organize your meal and get stronger and faster, right? Year 2, you figure out how to play your position. And then by year 3, you play your position. That's the general progression of that. So then as you've put guys into those phases in our room, and you got those young guys like Tegra and Carson and George, that they came in last year and just trying to keep their head above water of, when am I with Mick on Tuesday, and then when is the meeting and when is that? Those guys now, as they get into this spring, can actually start playing offensive line, right? They're bigger, they're stronger, they've acclimated to game plan terminology, to defenses and those things. So those young guys there are just a step a little bit ahead of the guys that just got here, because now you talk about those 4 incoming true freshmen that all came mid-year. I mean, they're waking up every morning panicking, looking at their phone, hoping the alarm went off at the right time. And then how am I getting over from the dorm? So they're in a completely different realm. They're all going to be really good players. We feel like we can develop those guys good, but that's kind of your young group. That intermediate group of those guys now is where guys can step up, and that's what I'm excited about. All of those is go perform, go play. You came here to play, you want to be a player. So you're looking at guys like Josh Fryer and Enoch and Zen, and you got Ben back there and Tootie and some of those younger guys that are coming into year 3 and 4, and Jacob, right? Now they're stepping in saying, all right, now I really want to be a big part of this thing. They know how to line up. They know how to set up in the weight room. They know what the meetings are like. Now I just got to step up and perform. And then you go kind of further to guys that have played more ball. I mean, you look at Donnie and Matt right now in that phase of what have they done? Well, they've played a lot of ball and they've been in big time games, so they understand as that younger phase as a coach, you're telling them all right, this can get you beat. This is what you don't want to do versus a good player. They've experienced that. They've had that friction a little bit. So now what are they concentrating on? They can be a little more pinpointed into, like I said, Matt Jones can come back and say, you know what, I need to work in A, B, and C. I can be really targeted there because the rest of the stuff's like habitual. It's like brushing his teeth. You know, Donnie the same way. Like Donnie's now, you know, played a little bit as a freshman. Sophomore year, he was the guy. Junior year, now what am I doing? Like, I'm the guy. What can I really hone in on, whether it be my hands, whether it be my footwork and those things. And so having a plan for each of those guys in each of those realms is really good until we get to spring, and then they just go play the game.
Just you described it several times as being excited about what's heading into March and April. Is that purely what you feel, or is there nervousness, uncertainty? You don't know how it's going to maybe completely play out.
Yeah, there's always a little bit of uncertainty just because they haven't played, right? But no, it's sheer excitement because like that's the coaching component of it. It's finding out what a guy does really well, and then where can that help us? Or find out, oh, there's a wart he may have. How do we clean that up, or how do we fix that, or maybe who do we put him next to ease stress or concerns or questions or whatever that may be. I mean, that's why I said, like,
Hey folks, we have lunch in the players'
this ain't pro football. This is, I mean, you're developing guys, right? It's not a new year, you can cut a guy or remove a guy, or you're not happy with what you got. This is developing guys, and so that is genuinely fun for me. That's why I like this level a lot. You know, a guy that comes in the summertime and just, you know, learning the process of it, and then all the way up through the bowl prep. I mean, he's another guy like Tegra we talked to. We kept up. I'd keep him up a lot. He wasn't always down on the scout team. He was up. He'd do some travel stuff. And by the end of bowl prep, you'd be using and watching clips of him versus our starting defense, saying, like, that's a true freshman doing that. Like, that's the process. You've been working and going through, and his understanding, and then, you know, now you build strength and you build size and those things. So he's just a worker. Like, you know, the best part about him is how he just supposed to keep working. And so that's going to give him a shot to compete, to get on the field like a lot of the rest of these guys.
Did you consider at the tackle spot very nicely asking Paris Johnson to stay for another year?
Yeah, so I've always done this. Ryan's really good about this, and I've been fortunate enough to be around, you know, good guys, and more here than others. So where every year you have a guy that considers, should I stay or should I go, with eligibility left. You just give those guys the information that you know, the people we trust from the next level, and say, here's the thought, here's what they think. This is, you make the decision best for you. We're their biggest fans. So if Paris would have said, yeah, I want to come back and become, you know, whatever, then we would have done what we're doing with Matt right now. Here's our plan, here's how we're going to get it done, we're going to work that way. You know, he obviously didn't do that, so now we're talking to P all the time, and Mike's in there zooming, and we're still coaching and helping those guys, because they're young guys. I mean, we go through so much stuff in this meeting room, and then on the field, and obviously in games and those things. Like, you genuinely become, as we talked earlier, like, excited about coaching these guys because of what you put in it together. And he's, you know, him, and I talked to Wanda yesterday, to Juan, you know, a little bit after his day, had a good day, and, you know, Luke down there training and doing those things with those guys. So you give them the information, they make the decision, and then you help them as best you can, as much as you can, and continue to do that, because that's what they did for you as a player.
Luke Montgomery's a guy who made an
Two more
impact,
questions.
on the recruiting trail as a peer recruiter. What elements of his personality do you think made him successful at that? And then maybe what that sort of thing, how could it help him as a player and being coachable?
This will be a short answer. I hate this answer, but you can run it. He's a real guy. And we all know what that is. You've been around those in your life. Like, tell me about that guy. That's a real dude right there. He's a great human. He's a great person. He comes from a great family. He's cut from the right cloth, and all he cares about is being his best and his team being his best. So why wouldn't you want to be around that guy? On the field, it's going to be the same. We'll talk about him and his future and why did he have a great career, what happened, because he was a real guy. He studied the right way, he trained the right way, he lived the right way, he was around the right people, and those guys, they don't fail very often in life.
Does that